All right. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for tuning into today's Lions Talk Live, Saturday, the day before the biggest day of perhaps disappointment in Detroit Lions history. Most of us are probably going to at least somewhat pay attention to the Super Bowl, and most of us are going to have disgruntled, probably not the greatest expressions on our face as we watch the Super Bowl and think about the Detroit Lions. We're this close to being there against the Kansas City Chiefs and potentially winning their first ever Super Bowl. All that being said, it is what it is. We're all going to be thinking positive and moving forward, thinking about how that loss in the NFC Championship is going to galvanize this team, lead this to the promised land, and perhaps open up a maybe 3 to 5 year window where the Detroit Lions might just be one of the most relevant teams in the NFL. As you can tell from the thumbnail, we're going to be diving in a little bit into pretending to possible free agents the Lions could acquire. And I get this list will change in the next couple of weeks as teams look to offload some players due to salary cap implications. So keep that in mind that this list will change over time. Before we get into the show, though, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making a push to get to 5,800 or literally 20 subs away. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you're one of those 20 people out there willing to subscribe, please make that possible. Also, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up like button thing. Last but never least, because I do have bills to pay, if you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, feel free to give me a call. Shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. If you're outside of the state of Michigan, you can still contact me and see what I can do to try to help you out. And if I can offer some great words of wisdom, I will give it a go. All right, Lions Talk Live, now going to get going. We've got a little bit of a list for you guys to consider. Came up with what I would say is, how about a top 10 list of free agents, regardless of position? And no, not all these players are going to be somebody that the Lions are going to want to go after, but some of them will be. Number one on my list is Chris Jones. Obviously, most of us know him, but in case you don't, he is a defensive tackle or interior defensive lineman from the Kansas City Chiefs. He probably will be the biggest name on most teams' free agency list, assuming that the Chiefs don't resign or franchise tag, blah, 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 whatever. He's going to be number one for most teams. Number two is going to be Kirk Cousins. Let's be honest. If you ain't got a quarterback, he's probably one you want to get. Will Minnesota resign him? Will he want to go back to Minnesota? All that we'll have to wait and see what happens. But while he may have some downsides, he's got a lot of upsides. So someone to consider. Number three is Josh Allen. And that's Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Defensive edge, he can get after the quarterback. He's a monster. You look at his pass rush grades versus his win rates, his run grade. I mean, he's going to be on a lot of people's lists. I'm going to guess just about every Lions fan out there would love to get him. Can we acquire him? That's gonna see how much money Brad Holmes or Dollar General Brad is willing to throw out at him in order to acquire him. Number four, I don't think is an option for us. That's T. Higgins from the Bengals. It's just our receiver room's pretty stacked, and I don't really foresee the Lions trying to spend a bunch of money on a wide receiver. Now, another one who would be interesting on the edge would be from the Carolina Panthers, Brian Burns. I mean, I get just about everybody watching the show probably knows about him, but in case you don't, another guy, monster edge, pass rusher, not as sound. I mean, not that he's bad in the run defense, but not as good as some of the other guys already mentioned. So with that being said, he's going to command just a ton of respect and interest from teams just because, again, his win rate on pass rushing is true pass rush rate. His run defensive grade, it's not horrible by any means. It's just not upper level. Then we're going to have Justin Matabuki from the Baltimore Ravens and another interior defensive lineman. I do think the team's going to probably go more edge than interior D-line, but you never know. Get another guy, big body, can get after it. Then you have Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins. His run defense grade is actually interesting. I think it's pretty very good, I should say. His pass rush isn't perhaps his biggest strength, but it's not bad by any means. And again, another upgrade. Next person I have on the list of the top 10, and then I'll get to the comments section, is somebody most of us should know just because we faced the Buccaneers twice this year. That'd be from Tampa Bay. We got a Winfield Jr. or Antoine Winfield Jr., just one of the league's best safeties. Now, do I think the Detroit Lions are going to go after him? Probably not. We've already got a pretty stacked safety room, so it wouldn't make a ton of sense, at least in my eyes, to target him. Jalen Johnson for the Chicago Bears, though, would be a player of interest, as will the one after this, in my anticipation. Lions need cornerback help. I think everybody and their mother knows it. Everybody at the Circle K knows it. So let me tell you, if everybody at the K knows it, then it's a universal truth. The Lions need a true number one corner. I'm not so sure Johnson or the next person are that, but they probably would be an upgrade. And if nothing else, you would have a vastly superior secondary if you added someone like Johnson and then had Cam Sutton, Brian Branch, along with the safeties for the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a vast improvement if you're able to acquire somebody like him. The next person, and I know I've talked to you guys before about him. This is a guy I really like just because of his aggressive nature. Yes, he does get a few more penalties because of this, but Ladarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs, who you'll be able to watch play tomorrow, I think, man, I like the guy. I like his physical play. I like his ability to help in the run, his ability to play man. I already mentioned he's physical. He's not afraid to get hands on people. He's not afraid to get dirty with people. I also like when you watch him face receivers who tend to get in and out of breaks quickly, he recovers fast. That is something, in my opinion, the Lions really lack in the secondary. And that's part of the reason why we get roasted by number one receivers. Typically, if you're an NFL number one receiver, your hips, your knees, and the way you can use your elbows to get in and out of breaks are incredibly God-gifted. You can cut and create separation 3, 4, 5 yards in a nanosecond. Sneed is actually pretty good at keeping up with that. So that's why I'm going to say, if I had to have my picks, at least for a cornerback, this is probably the number one guy I would target. All right, enough about what I think. Let's see what you guys think and head on over to the comments section. Let me scroll back up to the top. I see we're moving and shaking in the comments section. All right, Boo, good morning, Duke Crew. Guy's not coming back, Will Harris. Yeah, I'd say if he's back next year, man, there's got to be a specific reason. He's holding somebody hostage in the basement in order to keep that spot. And it's no disrespect to Will Harris. Seems like a great guy. I just don't see where, from a talent standpoint, he's on the team at this point. Burgs, good morning, Dan, the man, and morning to the Duke Crew. Good morning to you, buddy. Hopefully having a great day. Trump, America, love it or leave it. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Yep, I'll take that. All right, Brother Ken, greetings, Coach Dan and fam from the Mile High City. Well, Brother Ken, I know it's real early where you are, and hopefully it's not too bad a day for you. Hopefully it's a good one. JDC, morning all, back at you. Trump, do morning crew. I hope we get Josh Allen. Yeah, he's going to be definitely a target, not just for our team, but for a lot of teams. He would fit a real huge need for this team. And can you imagine him opposite side of Hutchinson? I've said it before. The only question I really have is, will these bigger name free agents fit in line with what Brad Holmes tends to seem to want to do? He may shock the world by going after someone like him, but man, it's nice to at least think about him in the Detroit Lions uniform. Detroit D, greetings and salutations, everyone. Back at you. Trump, sign any cornerback not named CJ Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do to go after, or who they go after in free agency. All right. Excuse me. Jonah Jackson, 1 year for $3.5 million. If we could get that happen, I'd say take it all day. That is pittance for a Pro Bowl caliber offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman guard like him. So, yeah, if we could get him for anywhere near that, yeah, take it in a heartbeat. Trump, draft big uglies. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they're going to have to go after a few more offensive linemen and maybe some interior defensive line too. Jason, top of the morning, gentlemen. Back at you, Jason. Hopefully you're having a good day out there before you go skiing. Detroit D, I believe Brad Holmes is looking for a cornerback number one free agent, but not willing to mortgage the future. Yeah, I think you're spot on, D. He's going to be, kicking the can, trying to find someone to come in and help. But to your point, I do think he's not going to go over the top in spending on someone. Trump, no 5'9" cornerback. Yeah, no. Dre Bly was 5'9" or is 5'9". What something like that. Boo. What about a trade for a cornerback number one? Yeah, that's definitely an option. Now, whether or not the Lions will do it, that's the other thing. And I'm trying to think who would be a target as far as another team's number one cornerback that we could come after and get. And then, of course, it comes down to what all you're going to have to give up to acquire that individual. That's a good thought, though. Brother Ken, let's sign our key personnel first, then go ahead and address the draft. Yeah, I do believe with this organization, this regime in front office, they're going to try to keep guys in-house first. I know Brad Holmes kind of mentioned it in his presser last week that, they want to draft guys that they know fit the mindset of this franchise. And then they want to develop them and then re-sign them. They want to keep their own. Plus, I get their standpoint on that. You're building a product that other players, other teams, are going to pay attention to. Hey, if I put in my time here in Detroit, I'm going to be rewarded. My family's going to be taken care of. They're not going to just, burn through me on the first rookie deal and then move on for me. So I see what you're saying there, Ken. All right, Big D, I read something this morning, and they are suggesting we trade our first-round pick for Joey Bosa from San Diego. Yeah, somebody was mentioning that, Big D, a couple days ago. And I would just say this, man. I don't know. It's not like I don't like Joey Bosa. I just don't know if I'd give up a first-rounder for him at this point in his career. If it's me, and keep in mind, this is my thoughts, I'd maybe give up a third rounder for him, but I don't think I would touch a first. That's, of course, my opinion, too. So, not saying somebody wouldn't give him a first. I'm just saying I wouldn't go that high. So, all right, Detroit D, if Goff gets costs more than 43 million a year, I'm not extending. He's not worth 50 to me. Yeah, and I think therein lies the problem is I think everybody in the show gets it. We all love Goff. He's great for Detroit. I also think, though, that there needs to be a lot of consideration by Goff and his representation that says, hey, your value here in Detroit is probably not nearly as high at other locations. So to your point, D, yeah, he's got to be really cognizant of, he's got to help the franchise keep the personnel around him to make him more successful. And I guess we'll find out what happens this offseason if they resign him and what the numbers are. All right, Big D, trade our first round pick for Bosa. What do you guys think? I know I just gave my thoughts on that. So I wouldn't mind him being here. Don't get me wrong. I would not mind Joey Bosa being here. I just wouldn't give up a first for him. I think we have an opportunity to get him if we do it. Yeah. And, maybe let me throw this out there. Maybe if we were to trade the first for him and then acquire maybe like a couple later round picks or maybe a mid round pick, something like that, then I might be more open for it. All right, Detroit D. But again, that's my opinion, Big D. Doesn't mean that, I'll be upset if we go out and do it either. Detroit D, I don't care how tall our corners are, just have to ball skills and play bump and run coverage. Yeah. There's obviously everybody wants, a 5'11", 6'3" corner that's physical, strong, is very agile. I mean, that's the prototype everybody wants. Now, what you get, that might be something different. As long as the guy can play and cover, then I guess it just comes down to semantics at that point. If the dude's a player, then Darrell Green was not the tallest dude, but Darrell Green could cover just about anybody. So, and I get that's a little bit of a throwback to a long time ago, but Dre Bly was not a tall corner. Dre Bly was a pretty good corner. He had a couple years in particular where he was, maybe one of the better ones in the NFL, top, 5 or 8 or so. All right, Boo, what do you got? I think Brad Holmes trades up before trading for Joey Bosa. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that, Boo. Go get Darius Robinson. That's an idea. Detroit D, I'm good with Bosa. He's always nicked up plus age. Yeah, he's getting up there a little bit in age. And to your point, yeah, he's been a little beat up the last few years. Big D, I just know the whole Bosa would fill. Hard to not take serious look at. In a report, it said he's willing to take less money to play with in the right place. Yeah, and again, if you can get him, I'm okay with it. And not that they're going to listen to me anyways, but I just think a first round pick doesn't seem to fit into Brad Holmes' wheelhouse for a guy that's probably got a couple years left in him, but he has been a little beat up the last few years. Brother Ken, if we're going to be aggressive free agency, it should be for a pass rusher or cornerback. Perhaps Holmes can convince Goff to restructure his salary with some lucrative incentives. That might be a possibility too. There could be a couple guys I still think that might get cut from the team for salary cap considerations, or maybe they just take, sort of like you're saying, Ken, pay, restructured deals to, free up some more cap. It's real possible the Lions could get up to, I think, 65, 70 million, somewhere in that range, at least, with a few moves done here and there to help alleviate some of the financial burden on the books. Big D, true on injuries. Yeah, he's great player, but he's been through it the last few years. All right, Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. It's the 5th round, and you're already picking a guard and defensive end. You have to pick between a O-lineman and a kicker. Who do you take? If it's the 5th round, Ken, oh boy. I mean, Ed, excuse me. Assuming that the both players are equal as far as a grading, I'm probably going with the kicker, just because this team really needs one. But if you haven't addressed the O-line at that point or by that point in the draft, then I might be thinking more offensive line, just because, hate saying it, but you're probably getting more return on that value long term. So yeah, it's really good to, at least for me, it's going to be real situational there. All right, Detroit D. If we go edge and free agency, I want Hunter or Allen or Burns. All of them would be great. I believe it would be money well spent. Yeah, you'd be making a huge investment, but you're also making an investment, in my opinion, to help Aiden Hutchinson. So one person is going to have a symbiotic relationship with the other. One person flushes out the quarterback out of the pocket. The other one's cleaning him up. I think you also start seeing a lot more value in return on some of that interior defensive line. So Lee McNeil will probably get more sacks, and whoever they line up next to him, whether it's Broderick Martin or whoever next year. All right, Big D, I'm with Hunter or Allen. Both would fill a hole, but at what cost? Yeah, both of them are. I mean, everybody that I named in that top 10 list and some of the ones you guys are naming, they're all going to get paychecks, man. They're all going to get significant paychecks. Somebody's going to pay them. All right, Boo, deep free agent class in cornerbacks. Guy from Titans looks good. Yeah, I agree with you, Boo. There's quite a few out there. Or I shouldn't say quite a few, but there's 5 or 6 out there that would probably help the Lions out exponentially. Again, I don't know if there's any of them that I would rate as a shutdown corner or number 1 corner, but they're a little bit below that. But still, the Lions need help out there, and they may not be able to this offseason get a true number 1 corner. That doesn't mean you can't improve the cornerback room, though. All right, Brother Ken, if we can get a competent corner and a rush mate for Hutchinson, that's worth at least 2 extra wins this year. I think you're 100% right. And I know we talked about it the last few days. If I had to, pick between edge rusher and cornerback, who would I prioritize? It's going to be the edge, because the edge, along with what else you have on that defensive line, are going to be able to help make the cornerbacks look a lot better by getting more pressure on the quarterback sooner and sooner. To me, the opposite also true, that if you don't address the edge rush, if you can't get after the other quarterback, then whoever you have in that secondary is just ultimately, they're going to give up ground and somebody's going to get open. So, yeah, I'm with you there. Get the edge rusher and then worry about the corner. Big D, best cornerback in the class is easily the one from Chicago. He's up there for sure. He's pretty dang good, without question. Detroit D, no more than 2022, a million a year. Okay. Ed, what do you got? If you can only sign one free agent, is it a cornerback or defensive end, Coach? It'd be an end, somebody who's going to play and affect the secondary. The secondary can assist pass rushers, just because if you can cover an extra second or two, you buy a little time for the edge rushers to get home. But I just think it's probably more reasonable to say that the edge rusher is going to be able to help the cornerback more than vice versa. All right, Big D, let's see. That dude's a beast. I forget his name. Okay, fair enough. But Boo, what do you got? Detroit D, who are you referring to? Yeah, let us know, D. Kurt M, let's see. Greetings, salutations, all. Any chance we get Allen or Jones? Imagine our defensive front with one of them. I'd like to say that Chris Jones is a possibility, but I just don't think it's a realistic expectation. I'd have a hard time believing the Kansas City Chiefs are going to let him go, but maybe I'm wrong. Josh Allen, on the other hand, I think it's more realistic we could acquire him or Burns, but I do think, man, all three of those guys are going to get paid, and they're going to get paid big checks that I'm just not sure, or at least how about this? In 3 years, we have not seen any kind of indication from Brad Holmes he's willing to write those level of checks. So it'd be my opinion, Brad Holmes is going to sign somebody, but it's going to probably be somebody. If you had to look at a scale of the top 100 free agents, you're probably looking 30 through 50, somewhere in that range. So somebody who's a level or two below these guys. But I've been wrong before. Detroit D, if we go cornerback and free agency, I believe we still draft 2 in the later rounds. Yeah, you're going to want to get some depth and start developing, hopefully, some talent to come on up and alleviate some people when their contracts expire. Dennis, good morning, fam. Good morning to you, too. John, we got Detroit D. I would say go after Jalen Johnson. Yeah, he's not too bad. Not the biggest dude in the world, but not bad at all. Michael, we got greetings, salutations, coach and Duke crew, one pride. Woo! The first woo of the day. There you go, Johnny, or Michael, excuse me. Brother Ken, if you put a gun to my head and force me to choose between a corner and an edge rusher, I'll have to take a corner. Our pass rush needs help, but we are torched way too much in the secondary. This is also true. So maybe, I think, how about this? Whoever we sign, corner or edge, we're going to need more help than just one person, but you maybe take a little bit of less need in one particular area than the other. Hookadoo. Good morning, Coach and the Duke crew. Back at you, buddy. Hopefully have a great one. Big D, what do you got? BK, I agree. All right. Dennis, sign the players first, then who we want. All right. Go after the guys you want. I'm down with that. Jerome, hey, Coach, I remember when defensive back coach Aubrey Pleasant got fired. How does an assistant get fired before the main coach? Can you explain? That's I'll put it this way. I guess whatever they were asking Aubrey Pleasant to teach or instruct with just the cornerbacks, they just weren't happy with the results being produced there. So in going to your question, how does the defensive coordinator or Aaron Glenn not get fired? In football, you've got tons of positional coaches that you entrust to work on certain technique or scheme aspects of the overall scheme. That way, one person isn't just burdened. Because, be fair, Aaron Glenn, just for the sake of discussion, he's not going to be able to have enough time in a week to work with just the safeties, just the corners, just the linebackers, just the defensive linemen, just the defensive edges. That's why you have the positional coaches. And long story short, they were probably looking for someone to be a sacrificial lamb to help say, hey, this is the problem. This is why we haven't been winning when we were, whatever they were at that point, 1-4, 1-5, something like that. So, yeah, unless he just did something really egregious, my guess is, it was just to try to appease fans. Hey, this is the reason why we're getting rid of him. So, unfortunately, it's part of coaching. People are going to be sacrificed to preserve or buy everybody else a little extra time. All right, Polar Bear. Due morning, Coach Dan. I think Brad will get to Evan Brown and a mid-level cornerback in free agency. I don't see him going after big names. He will keep Romeo Okwara on a cheap contract. He will pay his own stars. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty spot on. We'll see if Okwara is resigned or if he wants to come back, right? But to your point, I don't see him going out and getting the biggest name guys. Doesn't mean he won't talk to them, but somebody would have to really come down and probably on their contract demands in order to come around. And I also agree with your final statement there, Polar Bear, that he wants to keep, the ingrown talent, whoever's been drafted, really served the franchise, been great with the coaches, etc. We're now going to reward them by a longer term contract. Suzanne, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, all one pride, exclamation points. Superdome or a bust 2024-25. I'll take that in a heartbeat. Yes, indeed. And, Jason, if you're I know you're out there watching this, but yes, you have started something with the Superdome or bust. Polar Bear, is it bad to pay your own stars a year early? Is it bad? No, but I would say if you do it too often, now you're kicking in contract demands sooner than you need to, which unfortunately affects your cap and your ability to be effective in free agency, I should say. But you could also do it where you re-sign them and say, hey, these terms don't begin until the conclusion of the current contract. So that way everybody's on the same page. You know what's going to happen when that contract ends. There's, it's all taken care of now. So something like that, though, Polar Bear, that I think is a possibility. Boo, Superdome or bust, 100%. Don, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, all Polar Bear. I wouldn't think so. Okay, fair enough. Don, what do you got? Good morning, everyone. Let's get an edge and a corner in free agency. I just draft best player available. Okay, yep. I like the way you're thinking. Ed, I think Atlanta is coming after Hooker. We can get a lot for him. There was some sort of report, I want to say, was it this week that maybe it was somebody in the Atlantic, or I don't remember the story, but there was something in the media saying that they wanted the Falcons to go after Hendon Hooker. And man, everybody's got a price. If you think Goff's going to be here for 5 or so years on another contract, then if you offered me something tantalizing for Hendon Hooker, if I'm the general manager, I'd probably take it. But my question to you is, to Ed and everybody watching, what would it take for you to give up Hendon Hooker to another team? Let me see what you guys got. Lance, greetings and salutations. Back at you. Boo, I'm with you, Don. Get both in free agency. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then go after the best player available. Yep. Mile marker, good morning. Tomorrow, friends, I will count how many times the announcers say Lions or one of our coaches, starting with the kickoff and ending with the clock running out, not counting halftime. All right. Fair enough. You, Mile, you be the official count keeper of that. Let me know on the next show after this or after the Super Bowl tomorrow. Jerome, hey, Coach, Lions drafted player. How do they know he's the right fit culturally when you haven't spoken to him beforehand? Just so you know, Jerome, they'll anybody who's a potential option that they see when they do their mock drafts, their war room studies and stuff, they've interviewed them. There's very, very rarely are you going to take a shot on somebody you don't know anything about. So they've interviewed him. They've interviewed probably people they trust who know him, so former coaches or friends, family. They've done all their due diligence, and that's why this time of year, the scouting department, you think they have a long season during the college season. Well, that's true. I mean, they don't get many days off. Let me tell you, between now and the end of the draft, or at least the day before the draft, those guys don't get any sleep. I mean, they are going around the clock looking for any little bit of information. So, yeah, it's a game of inches, and those guys are looking for the smallest inches possible. Zach, greetings, salutations, everyone. We all think we have an idea what's going to happen this offseason. Holmes will be thinking totally different. Yeah, he does seem to think everybody, the media or whatever, we've got this idea, that idea, what we're going to go after in the free agency or the draft, and Brad Holmes typically goes in a completely different direction. So you are correct on that. All right, Brother Ken, I don't know about trading Hooker. The young man has a lot of attributes for a great quarterback. I'm not willing to pull the trigger on that one. Yeah, and I think that would be my guess. I mean, it'd be one thing if somebody comes out and just makes some sort of hellacious home run offer that nobody can turn down. Fine, go for it. But to your point, Ken, he does seem to have a lot of the right stuff. The stuff you can't measure, you can't teach. I guess it's just going to come down to what do the coaching staff see out of him during that 3-week window where he got to be on the roster, working with everybody, et cetera. And then obviously after that too, during the season when he was kept up on the roster, did they see enough out of him? They were like, man, we might really have something here. Or they're like, hey, maybe it's okay to move on from him. That's the stuff I don't know. And I'm guessing most of us don't know just because we haven't seen him in the NFL yet. All right, Boo, Drum Lewis, scouting. Yeah, 100%. Scouting is huge. All right, Eddie, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Congrats on another big win last night, Coach. Your team scores a lot of points, I see. We do score a lot of points. And you know what? Hopefully before the playoffs, we continue that trend, maybe score a little bit more, even improve upon the defense a little bit. I would be very happy if we can do that. All right, Detroit D, question to the chat. Do we put Iffy back at corner if we don't bring in one in free agency? That's a good question, man. I would say this. If you're going to play a lot more zone coverage, I would say that's a real possibility for Iffy to be moved over there. Because, again, in zone coverage, I think some of his weaknesses as a corner would be limited. I just think as a safety, man, having him guard tight ends, running backs, sometimes a receiver, that seems to fit more his NFL strengths. But that being said, I could say the same thing for Richard Sherman, who was a corner. Sherman was a little bit bigger, but in zone coverage, Sherman caused a lot of problems for opposing offenses. So, I guess you're kind of splitting hairs with that. But Detroit D, let's see what the chat says to you. But you've heard my thoughts. Ed, will the Lions go after St. Brown's brother? Maybe. Maybe, but their wide receiver room is so deep at this point. I'm trying to think who you would let go to bring him in. All right, keeping on going here. Brother Ken, culture. I'm so tired of hearing that dang word. Every great team has had a loose cannon. As long as he's not disruptive to the cares, i.e. Dennis Rodman. Man, Rodman, well, to be fair, though, in Detroit, until his last few years, he wasn't quite disruptive. But, man, his last few years, he was a show. And then he became a show afterwards. All right. Is that so you, Zach Morris? Was thinking the same thing. Holmes plays his cards pretty close to his chest. He does. Yeah. He's not going to let anybody know other than maybe MCDC what's going on. All right. Jerome Lewis, hey, coach. In the NFL, are all rookie contracts standard or some paid more than others based on the round in which they were drafted? So each round, it basically has its parameters, what you're going to get paid. There's a little bit of difference between team A and B, but, I mean, you're talking – it's not like it was, 10, 15 years ago. Nowadays, everything's pretty structurally based. Some small wiggle room here and there, but not much, man. All right, Garland, good morning. It's time to spend money, time to go for the win. And there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be pushing for that, saying, hey, this is the time we need to break the bank, cut the checks, go for that win, all in, skip them picks, whatever you want to say, go for it, because this is our window. Michael, I believe that our secondary got torched because we are not getting to the quarterback. Any quarterback in the NFL who has all day looking for an open receiver is going to find someone. Defensive line needs help first. Yeah, and you heard my thoughts on it. I'm going to go after edge if it's me, just because what you're just saying. That also being said, you're going to have to address that secondary too, just so you get a little bit more coverage. You buy the edge just a little bit more time to be able to affect the quarterback. Dennis, really hope we draft Darius Robinson. Yeah, it's a possibility. Dennis, take ditto. Yeah, there we go. I know a couple people have mentioned him, so just so you guys know. Polar Bear, Boo, would you give 2 firsts for Patrick Surtain Jr.? Ooh. Broncos need draft capital to trade up for a quarterback. Man, 2 firsts. It's probably what it would take, though, to get him, isn't it? Man, he would be a difference maker. I guess I'd put this way to you guys. If you're going to do this scenario, Polar Bear's suggestion, 2 firsts for Patrick Surtain Jr., then, man, you know what? I'm writing those checks in free agency to go get somebody to be just a dominant pass rusher for us, because at that point, you're giving up 2 years of future. I'm probably saying this is our window of opportunity. We got to go for it now. You've seen other teams do it, like the 49ers and the Rams, and I'm sure there's other ones I'm not considering. But, yeah, if you're going to trade 2 first to get him, I think everybody would be okay with it. But now you better go address that edge rusher in free agency and bring him on home, man, because that defense at that point is looking pretty good. Man Bear, what do you got? Do TV. Good morning, Do Club, and back at you. Hopefully having a great morning, my friend. Boo, Polar Bear, 2 firsts seems kind of steep. I would like him, though. Yeah, and I don't know what the bare minimum is going to be for you to be able to acquire him, but my guess is it's probably, if it's not 2 firsts, it's probably something pretty close to that. All right, Bergs, defense, 100%. Yeah, you got to improve that D. Hookadoo, we do have the option to go watch the Animal Planet Puppy Bowl there. There you go. Yeah, there might be a lot of fans watching that instead of the Super Bowl. So good point on that. All right, Jerome, hey, coach, I remember when Bobby Ross stepped down as Lions head coach. Why did he do that? He think he was a failure? There's, man, you're going back to, close to 30 years, man. I just don't think he felt like he could affect the team in a positive way anymore. I mean, I don't really remember interviewing him a ton. I remember talking to him a few times, but he was pretty dry. And that what that means is he just was not a great interview. You weren't going to get a whole lot out of him. Other once in a while, he gives some kind of off kilter, quote or something like that. But I'm sure Barry Sanders retiring didn't help things. The team kind of struggled. Wasn't really direction he thought it was going to be going. He really did think when he first got here, he'd come in and, man, this is just coaching stuff I can clean up. We're going to be going to the Super Bowl. And I know he said that. It's just, unfortunately, and it just didn't work out here for a multitude of reasons. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, he was just frustrated, tired, and wanted to do something else. I mean, he'd been coaching at that point a long time. I don't hold me to this, but I want to say he'd been coaching like 30, 40 years. And I get it. I'm on my 34th year. And yeah, Bobby Ross, I think he's, boy, I want to say he was in his 60s when he got the Lions coaching job, but don't hold me to that, man. I don't exactly remember. All right, Silver Surfer. Lions could really use a great corner, not just good, great. I tried to move up in the draft if I thought there was a great one, not a good one. Yeah, and that's, I think, sort of like what we were just talking about with going after Patrick Surtain Jr. Either scenario, going after an elite one in the draft, if there's one you've identified as being elite, or in free agency, or I guess in trades, it's going to cost. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. What are the Lions willing to spend in order to acquire the answer to said problem? All right, Dennis, Josh Allen. Yeah, I know he's been mentioned a little bit today, and he probably is going to keep being mentioned for a few more days. All right, Brent, good morning, Coach and Do Crew. Good morning to you. I hope you're having a good day and one day closer to being home, man. Hopefully you're healing up just right. Hit that like button, crew. Yeah, if you guys haven't yet subscribed or liked the video, please consider doing so. All right, Polar Bear, what are you comfortable with regarding drafting a day 3 cornerback? Penalty prone, short, slow, bad hips, zone or man, only experience, bad hands, etc. What am I comfortable with? Boy, flat out, if you're starting talking about day 3, you got to be athletic. You got to have something to build upon, because you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I cannot coach people to be taller. I can't teach them to run faster. You can teach mechanics. You can help them clean up some interpretations of how to play this or that. At the end of the day, if you don't have the athleticism, especially day 3, I'm probably not looking at you. You've got to have something in which a coach can believe, in this situation, I can make this person effective. So that's where I would start. Penalty prone, you can clean that up. Short, I guess it depends on how short or slow in your opinion. Bad hips, yeah, I think you'd coach them up a little bit in that regard. Zone or man or only experience, sort of like you just said, it comes down to experience. So, hey, you got to be able to coach them up there. But the slow and the short part, I can't affect, man. All right, Bergs. Jared Jared took care of his lineman. Nice touch. Yeah, quarterback 1, love him. Yeah. I want to say he got him all some nice watches or something like that. But, hey, that's knowing who's taking care of you and keeping you healthy. So take care of those guys who take care of you. All right, Michael, how you doing, Brent? Yeah, hopefully, Brent, give us an update, and he's doing well, hopefully. All right, Danico Audrey. All right, Dennis, fair enough. All right, is that still you? Chris Jones equals held out. First game of the season versus Lions. Do we want that? I'm not commenting one way or the other. I guess if you're going to put it this way, is that still you? If you're going to sign him to a longer term contract, so whatever he's looking for, 3 or 4 years, he's probably going to be here for 2 years before maybe something pops up. But I don't know. I'm not. I'll leave that to the Lions brass to say, hey, if this is the right personality for us or not. All right, mile marker, Brent, I hope this is a good morning for you. Yeah, I hope it is too, man. I hope we all are saying that for him. Polar Bear, I can't see Brad Holmes giving up a first, second, or 2025 third to trade from the first for a cornerback. That's what I had to give up to trade with Cincinnati for Quayan. Brad might be able to get a better deal. It's possible for sure. Again, what's it going to take to trade on up? That's why he gets paid to work the phones to figure that out. But to me, if I'm going to make a trade like that, I'm probably going for somebody I already know is in the NFL and on a rookie deal, who I could go up and know how they're playing in the NFL. I'm not having to guess. So that's, to me, where Patrick Surtain Jr. in your scenarios, Polar Bear, would probably be more logical in my eyes. All right, Brett, Michael Dover, a little bit better every day. Yeah, good to hear that, man. Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust. That is correct. Good to see you, my friend and buddy. Hopefully having a good morning. Dennis, draft Mitchell from Toledo area or go cornerback. Okay, fair enough. Mitchell will be long gone. Yeah. My guess is you're gonna have to make some moves to make that happen. Polar Bear. Oops, I meant day 2 cornerback earlier. But the same thing apply. Yeah. Dennis trade up. Fair enough. Non Kong. Hey, y'all remember when we were all like these cornerbacks and safety was gonna be like a no fly zone? Gosh, we were wrong. More like a fly anywhere you want defense. Um, it is what it is, man. The secondary did get better, in my opinion, throughout the year, but a lot of that's because of Iffy's development. Um, Obviously, they were anticipating, Emmanuel Mosley being able to play and be able to help things out. That went south, and Jerry Jacobs went south, and then Cam Sutton's toe injury emerged, which affected him. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, the secondary alone on this team got beat up and injured exponentially. All right, Trump Bosa has been hurt last 2 seasons. He has, man. I would see him, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the guy comes, wherever he's going to go next year or in the Chargers and just stays healthy and he can just be more productive than he has been. It's unfortunate for any athlete to get hurt. It affects you. And if you can't stay healthy, you can't stay on the field, or you're always dealing with nagging injuries that are precluding your ability to do certain things. So yeah, you've got a good point there. He's been hurt. Anthony, good morning, Do Crew, back at you. Hopefully you're having a great one. Dennis, no to Bosa, fair enough. Anthony, he's injury prone. Yes, he has been the last few years. Dennis, yep. Michael, howdy, Dan, the Lions faithful, back at you, buddy. Hopefully you're having a good morning. Anthony, and about $60 million left on his contract. Yeah, he would have to, I'm guessing, probably have to restructure that a wee bit. Trump, 6'2" cornerback, sick of getting burned by 6 foot. Fair enough. All right. Polar Bear, Goff is worth $50 million. You just want more cash to spend elsewhere. I would as well. I saw a quote that Goff would rather be poor Goff with good players, but I couldn't confirm it. Yeah, there was something. I want to say a couple people in the chat earlier this week mentioned it, that Goff is, it sounds like, at least, aware that, hey, he's made some good money. He's willing to take less to play on a good team and keep good teammates around him. So I think you're onto something there, Polar Bear. Moonscar, good morning, crew. Good morning to you too. Trump, free hookers for Goff. There you go. There you go. Polar Bear, I don't think Brad is as worried about edge as fans are. Their player evaluations aren't always solid on their guys. 100%. Trump, I remember plenty of games when Jason Hanson was the highest scorer of this team. He was, yeah, and that says something about the offense. But we need a new Jason Hanson or Eddie Murray or whatever. Dennis, Kendall Fullerton, Kendall Fuller, yeah, he would probably be. I think, Dennis, to your point, he seems like more the type of tier of cornerback that Holmes might be inclined to go for. You'd make the cornerback room better, but I don't think, again, you have a true number one corner, and that does seem to be a bit of a problem for us. Polar Bear, give me a cornerback over edge all day long and twice on set in Saturday. Coach them up and scheme pressure. Lions people. Okay, fair enough. Trump, someone will sign Josh Allen. Why not us? 100%. It could be us. I just wonder how much we're willing to pay to make that happen. Don Kong, Brad seems especially told everyone, specifically told everyone in the world that he isn't spending big money. Yeah, he did kind of point that out in not so many words, but yeah, I get your point, Donkey. All right, Anthony, at some point, Dollar General Brad gonna have to bust out that checkbook. You would think so. You would think so, Anthony. Marvin, I would like to see cornerback and then defensive line. Fair enough. All right, we'll go with that. Bergs, if healthy and team-friendly deal, I'd give Mosley another crack at the secondary. Definitely needs attention this offseason. Pass rush as well. Yeah, and I think you're pretty spot on with that, Bergs. If you can get him on the right deal, not an overly egregious one, then I'd probably go after him too, just because, other than knee injuries, he's, his body hasn't gone through any real banging the last few years. He's a pretty good corner when healthy, but you got to also protect yourself and the team because he is a kind of an unknown at this point. Trump, D is our biggest need. A cornerback can cover for 10 seconds. Yeah, no quarterback can cover 10 seconds. I 100% agree. Big D, I want Hooker to stay. I think you probably got the sentiment of most of the fans. All right, Dennis, do we draft wide receiver or bring back Reynolds or Donovan Peoples-Jones? I think they'll be looking to bring back Josh Reynolds and potentially Donovan Peoples-Jones. All right, Donkey, Hennon could be had for a first rounder today. I wonder if they would do that, but man, I'll throw this scenario at you guys. All right, you guys want to talk about trading 2 firsts to get a Patrick Surtain. Can you get a first or a high-level second for Hendon Hooker and then use that along with your first to go get Patrick Surtain Jr.? Would you guys go for that? I'm not saying one thing or another. I know what I would do. Doesn't mean that it has to be what you would do. Trump, we need a backup. Keep Hooker. There you go. Anthony, I don't believe Hooker is wanting to be a backup. He wants to play. It's probably a lot of truth to that, but what athlete doesn't want to play? Don Kong, Reynolds has been here for most of the build. You bring him back for the bowl. Yeah, and he's done well, other than, unfortunately, we all know at the NFC title game, he didn't have his best game. All right, Trump, you'd have to see what you have before trading away. Yeah, and I'm guessing they probably have some idea at this point what they think about him, but they also have some idea where his strengths and weaknesses are and maybe what they can help augment to make him better in the offseason. Polar Bear, I want a first and a swap second-round picks for Hooker before the draft. After the draft, the price might be a first and a defensive star. Fair enough. Boo, if he will be a multi-purpose DB. Yeah, he's a safety now that has some good coverage abilities. Jason, in Brad Holmes, we trust. April 25th can't come soon enough. Superdome or bust for the Towel of Destiny, the Tree of Destiny. How about the Team of Destiny? All the above. Robert G., remember what MCDC said about not upsetting the chemistry of the team? They won't sign a big-name D end. In my opinion, they are going to stick with the blue-collar players. Yeah, there could be a lot of truth to that, 100%. Berg, St. Brown brother would be a downgrade from what we have. He's a cool dude, but nowhere near the talent of the Sun God. His career high is 20 receptions in a season. Hard pass. Fair enough. All right, a couple more of these, and it's due 30 for me, guys. Trump's a genius. I tell Goff, you want a big contract, win us the Super Bowl. There you go. Garland, 100%. Can we talk Brad into a win now approach? I wonder if we could. Trump, win auto spell. Yeah, it happens, man. Phil, good morning. Good morning to you, Phil. Richard, the Lions need a kicker who is capable of kicking a 65-yard field goal with a kickoff approach when given the opportunity to execute a fair catch kick. Fair enough. I'll go with that. They do need a kicker. Dennis, I don't coach that stuff, Bobby Ross. Oh boy. Yes, he did say that. I forgot about that. Good memory there, Dennis. My mark. Morning, Phil. Jason, do you have any correspondence with Lions personnel? Yes, I do. I still have a lot of friends that have either elevated to positions with the Detroit Lions themselves or still work or have worked in Detroit media for a while. So while I may not be an active AP reporter anymore, I still fill in every once in a while when needed. And if I have free time, I still hang out with a lot of my old friends who are still full-timers in the industry. All right. David, what do you got? Keep Hooker, whatever Brad is doing to make us better one more time. Woo! There we go. I'll take that. Trump, don't draft or sign injured players. Yeah, we do seem to have a history with that. Lynn, Snead, free agent over Surtain are just as good and no picks to give away. That's a fair point. Yeah, I do like Snead 100%. I know I said that in the start of the show. So, and I think I've said it this week too. I really like his aggressive coverage. Phil, even with a great kicker, Dan would go for it. That is probably also 100% true. Dennis, yes. All right, Dr. Droit. I see Brad at the ER again, and then he goes to 5 and dime for sure. There you go. All right. Yeah, Brad, I think we're all going to be shocked if he opens up the checkbook for 1 or 2 players, big time players, that is. All right, JDC defense wins championships. Lions need the heavy hitters on that side. They do need some upgrades there for sure. Boo, TOD cubed. There you go. Detroit D, yes, and Chris Jones. Agreed on that one. Yeah, 100%. Bergs, let's help Dan reach his goals. Tell other fans about the channel. Yeah, if you guys want Tell everybody you know about the Lions Talk Live. Have them come on down. There we go. Some prices right there. Exit 8, drafting injured players has worked out pretty well for us. Hooker's value now is way more than the third round pick. That would be 100% correct. I agree with you on that, Exit. JMO is coming around. It's about long-term value in the draft. I'll go with that, man. That was a nice one. Manberg, how's it going, doctor? Only the doctor would know. Motown Mitch, good morning. Long time no see, Dr. Detroit. Yeah, good to see you, Dr. Detroit. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. I'm going to head out to the Circle K. I am hungry today, and I need a Mountain Dew in the worst way. So if there's some breaking news later today, I'll try to get it over to you as quick as possible. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're about 20 subs away from hitting 5,800. So if you can help out that, I'd be thankful. Also, if you would, hit that thumbs up button. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See you guys.